Thank you, Chairman Langford, and thank you so much for calling this hearing. As the ranking member of Homeland Security and Government Affairs Subcommittee that oversees the federal workforce, I really can't think of a more appropriate topic for today's hearing. When the administration implemented their hiring freeze across the federal government in January of this year, I had grave concerns about the local impacts that unfilled vacancies would have on communities and citizens in my state of North Dakota. My concern only deepened after hearing rhetoric from the administration about reducing the workforce through attrition. Across-the-board cuts and a shrinking of the overall federal workforce are not the answer to making the federal government more efficient or more effective. When I hear of proposed cuts nearly as high as 21% at USDA, I worry about my farmers and ranchers and how they're going to get the critical support and critical information they need from our FSA field offices. Bill Hale, who grows sugar beets, spring corn, or spring wheat, corn, and soybeans near Castleton, North Dakota, is one of those farmers that I worry about when I hear about these drastic cuts. Bill drives 30 miles or more to get to an FSA office right now, a distance that he can't afford to see increase in the future because of potential staffing cuts. Bill is someone who plans to hand down his farm to his son one day, and it's important for us to think about the impacts that these kinds of cuts will have on the next generation of farmers and all of those in our rural communities. While the hiring freeze has technically been lifted, I want you to know that I'm paying very close attention to how agencies are implementing the guidance that was given to them by the Office of Management and Budget on April 12th. And I stand ready and willing to question any cuts that come at the expense of talent, morale, and the mission of our federal workforce. It's essential that agencies are not putting the cart before the horse when it comes to reorganization. They must carefully think through the long-term impacts of any potential reductions and what those reductions will mean for the citizens of states like North Dakota. With nearly a third of the federal workforce eligible to retire in 2019, it is critical that the federal government connect with the millennial generation in a way that speaks to the needs and their desire to pursue mission-oriented careers and demonstrates that a career in the federal government has a lot to offer a young millennial person. We will not be able to achieve that if we undermine the very mission that drives the younger generation of workers who care so much about a career in public service. I think if we unwisely cut important agency functions, it will make it tougher for us to recruit and maintain quality federal employees. I'm going to be doing all that I can to basically drive efficiency, drive effectiveness of the federal workforce, but not look for a meat cleaver solution to this problem. Are there federal employees who may not be fulfilling a mission that we no longer need? Sure, we ought to know that. But across the board cuts and simple solutions like percentage reductions, they don't get us where we need to be. And so, plus, I think with a third of the workforce willing to retire and maybe seeing an opportunity to retire when the mission isn't as clear, I think that we're asking for not a short-term problem, but what will result in a long-term problem in terms of quality federal workforce. So I look forward to hearing from the witnesses. I look forward to hearing some of the examples of how we can be more efficient and effective with our employees, but also how we need to maintain a workforce that has high morale and as a result has the ability to recruit the best and brightest Americans to work for the people of our country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.